Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
When the hunt matters, trust the gear that's built to perform. At Scree Gear, we design premium hunting apparel that keeps you comfortable, concealed, and ready for whatever the mountain throws your way. From early season spot and stalk hunts to late season extremes, Scree Gear is trusted by hunters who refuse to compromise. And if you want to sharpen your skills and follow real hunting adventures, watch Scree TV on Waypoint TV. Visit ScreeGear.com to gear up today. Then catch Scree TV on Waypoint TV and experience the hunt like never before.
Well, all right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, Kevin and Chuck. Today, we're going to talk about the infamous Anarchist Cookbook. This book's been around a long time. Kevin will tell you when. I think 70s. Is that right, Kevin?
1971.
1971. So it's as old as my pickup truck. It's been around. So this book has been the controversy and the debate of people for years. It kind of keeps having moments of resurgency. And, well, give us a little history, Kevin. Tell us how it went down.
All right. Well, yeah, it was written in 1971 by William Powell. He wrote it because he wanted to give people the tools to defy the government, I guess. Basically, he was writing it in protest of the draft during the Vietnam War. He was writing it in protest against America's slide towards communism. He was writing it for people to fight against fascism. He was writing it to basically he wanted to bring the government back down to American government back to 1970 or 1776 values, where people made their own decisions and decided what they were going to do and how they were going to do it, and the government didn't interfere. So, nice. I mean, there's been a lot of... Jefferson probably is the first anarchist, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Right? It's in our DNA as Americans to kind of be a little rebellious and kind of, have the ability to stand up to our government. I know that the schools are doing their best to beat this out of kids. But obviously we have all these crazy radical groups that, I don't know, they don't seem to have self-reliance as their values. It's just kind of anarchy and destruction. I think in the past we used to be the individual, that's where America's DNA comes from. But being self-reliant also means being able to repel borders and stand against, any kind of tyranny that comes along. And, well, I hate to say it, all these skills kind of go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And a lot of these things are kind of, kind of iffy on their usefulness and iffy on their safeness. I wouldn't say that you could take the Anarchist Cookbook and safely make explosives or drugs or anything like that without blowing a couple of fingers off first, figuring out,
Right. Well, I kind of feel like all explosives fall into that category. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't feel like I can master fireworks that I buy at the local stand without, a little bit of risk there,
Exactly. Now, some of the things that he talks about here, let's just go through some of the chapters. So chapter 1 is on making drugs. The original cookbook had recipes for LSD, which I suppose you could make and try yourself, but I mean, I don't know, man. Sounds like a bad trip waiting to happen.
Yeah, that does sound right. LSD sounds like it's pretty questionable right out of the gate. And then when it's homemade LSD, I don't know. I'd imagine if it was printed in there that a lot of the LSD in the 70s probably came from the Anarchist Cookbook recipe. I would not be surprised.
Right. And the truth is, nobody ever gets LSD from a pharmacy. You get it from
No?
a sweaty dude that's not wearing a shirt.
Oh,
You know, he's got like a fish hat on and a mullet, and that guy probably has LSD, and he probably made it himself. Another one of the drugs in there is smoking banana peels. Now, it gives you a recipe. It says first you have to buy 10 pounds of bananas, then eat all the bananas. I don't know why you have to eat them specifically. Then you take the bananas out, and you dry them out. You cook them in the oven until they're black and charred, and you scrape it up and you smoke it. Now, really what you're smoking is charred shit. It's not going to get you high. It's not going to do anything. The reason it's in there is this was a prank started by Timothy Leary, who was trying to fuck with the FBI about the hallucinogenic properties of banana peels and see if he could get them to, invest resources in researching it, which they did, and determined that there's no hallucinogenics in banana peels in any way.
so it was an homage, if you will.
Yeah, it was just a joke. That's really all it came down to.
Yeah, I mean, in the Anarchist Cookbook, it's an homage to Timothy Leary.
Right. The second chapter is about sabotage and demolition. This is probably the most dangerous part of this book. The recipes for explosives are mostly accurate. It talks about how to properly use firearms and, different types of handguns. It talks about making napalm, though it did leave one of the key ingredients out of the napalm in there. It says to use styrofoam and gasoline.
I do recall reading that.
Yeah, if you mix those two things together, you'll come up with something similar to napalm that'll burn for a couple of minutes, but it's not the napalm, that they used in Vietnam or anything.
No, it's not sticking to people and burning off their skin.
Well, it will, but only for a couple of minutes, not for like the 10, 15 minute range.
That really doesn't have the effect that you're looking for. I mean, if you burn somebody's skin for 3 minutes, is that really giving you the value you're looking for?
No. You're supposed to add benzene to it, but you can't really get benzene at your, local pharmacy or anything.
It's awkward when you're out there buying it.
Yeah, you have to buy bulk chemicals. It's getting hard right now because China's not shipping a lot of their chemicals over here, and it's kind of questionable why you might be buying that.
And the FBI is like, hey, let me pay you a visit.
Yeah. And if you get into the explosives part of the Anarchist Cookbook, you can come down to some pretty basic recipes, but without a background in chemistry, it gets a little vague when you get down to like specifics about amounts and how to mix it and how to, it's a little bit vague. So there's a learning curve there.
You got to give a thumb or two, to the cause.
Yeah. Now, in 1976, a Croatian nationalist bombed Grand Central Station.
Okay.
They set off six bombs. One was in Grand Central Station in locker 5713, and it blew up and killed a cop. And the other bombs, I don't believe they set them off. I don't know they actually got away out to Croatia, I believe, in the end.
Is that like the more modern day guy who had the pipe bomb in the subway too, and then just kind of fell on the ground and embarrassed himself?
Yeah, he had it. I forget what his name was, but he had the Anarchist Cookbook at home.
Is that what it was? And instead his bag was full of banana peels and things went wrong?
Yep. Now, the third main chapter there is hand-to-hand combat. Now, none of the stuff in there is like, judo or karate or any of that shit. It's really about like stomping on people's faces with steel toe boots and
punching them in the throat.
Right, gouging eyes out and things like that. It's basically implying that if you're in a hand-to-hand fight, there's no,
be
there's
brutal.
nothing fair about fighting. Right. Just be as violent as you can be.
Yeah.
Which is not really the best way to learn about hand-to-hand combat, but I guess it's better than, slap boxing.
Yeah, then whining and screaming and slapping your hands. Probably not,
Right.
at least gouging their eyes out with your thumb. Hey, you got something going for you.
Right. Now, along with that was improvised weapons. And it's really just talking about, knives, baseball bats, things that you would have around the house that you might be able to use. Nunchucks and, things like that.
3-hole punch, the broken beer bottle you left sitting on the counter.
Yeah. Right. All good ideas. I'm not hating. Now, it was remade a million times, the Anarchist Cookbook. Do you remember the first time you read the Anarchist Cookbook or where you saw it?
So it was a long time ago. I think we're in the 90s. It was around 95. And there was a website called jollyroger.com, which I think you said you did some research and is maybe not the same thing anymore.
I can't find anything about the Jolly Roger.
All right. So
even that he existed.
It might have even been the jollyroger.com. I'm not even sure. And I guess I could have typed it in before the episode, but I didn't know that we were going to take this turn. But so one of my buddies in the Navy was a little bit of he liked to think of himself as a hacker and a conspiracy kind of guy. He, was the kind of guy who tells you, oh, I used to run an IT company and I made my money. So now I joined the military because why not? Whereas that doesn't really sound like something anybody would do in reality. So he was that guy. I think you guys know that guy. You probably went to school with him. And so anyway, he was like, yeah, I got this really cool thing. You got to check it out. And, and we downloaded it. And, I think I had it on my 3.5-inch disc and I was pretty cool. So, yeah, no, we all got excited. I think the level of pranks started upping in boot camp after we got this. I know the big thing was to fill a brown paper bag, a grocery store bag. We'd fill it with shaving cream and we'd go over to the guy's dorm door and we'd just put the edge underneath and then drop a book. It turned out one of the tech manuals for our radios, it was like 4 inches thick, and we'd just drop this thing on the paper bag and it would just explode shaving cream all over the room. And so my buddy was like, hey, let's check out the Anarchist Cookbook. Maybe we can step things up to a new level.
Excellent.
So,
excellent. Good thinking.
We're thinkers. And we did apply some of the techniques. They were modified a little bit, but we did apply some knowledge. So, there are things to be learned, but there's things to be learned everywhere.
Yeah, I remember the first time I got my hands on it. My neighbor was a little hacking nerd when AOL dial-up was a thing.
Sure.
And of course, he found it immediately and printed it out. We all had copies of it.
That was it.
Yeah, he actually had his account canceled. Got in trouble with his parents for wrecking somebody's computer by sending him a virus. So he was one of the early people kicked off of AOL.com for being stupid. But what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
So one of the things that Jolly Roger added was the phone phreaking or the phone hacking stuff. Now, a lot of that stuff, if you read it now, it is really outdated. It's not going to be useful to anybody.
Right. This was like FBI surveillance and how to know if you're being tapped and that kind of thing. Is that right? That's what I remember.
Right. And none of it is accurate. It was accurate probably 5 years before he wrote it. I
remember there was a section I remember reading, if the guys surveilling you have beards, that usually means they're undercover police officers because they only have a short time to change their image and look like somebody else. Whereas if they have long hair, they're committed and in for the long haul like FBI agents. Something along that line. There were a lot of secret tips that, so maybe the beard, who knows?
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about William Powell is he wrote the original Anarchist Cookbook from books that were free to use in the New York City Public Library. He just went and sat there for a year, copying things down, and that's where the bulk of this came from. But the phone phreaking stuff, the phone hacking, that was like over the course of like 20 years, that was all developed by different hackers. So there's the Jolly Roger. There was the Temple of the Screaming Electron, which is classic. There's Captain Crunch. He was one of the famous hackers, not the serial guy.
Oh.
And then there was Joe the Whistler. He was interesting because he was born blind, but he had like a perfect sense of pitch, and he could whistle into the phone to mimic the sounds that the phone would make as it was transferring calls.
When you drop in a quarter.
Free phone calls.
Right. When you drop in a quarter, it would send in a tone, or there would be a different tone for a quarter, a nickel, a dime, whatever it is you put in the machine, it would send that out. Now, I thought there was something about a Captain Crunch whistle that you got in the cereal box that would match that tone. Is that not accurate?
I think that was more of a urban legend. I don't know if that was actually
Now, if I remember right, again, I'm trying to remember back to the 90s. We're talking about like 98, 97. There was a whole thing in there about you would pull apart the wires that go to the phone handle on your telephone. Right. And if you pulled apart the wires, it told you which color wires sent which signal. And you could like bypass them or put two together or something. And then they had you tape the wires back up so you could go back to it at any time and do it and have the free phone. And I think what it was they would do it and you would basically leave it set free for anybody.
Right.
And it gave some explanation of why that worked. I don't know. You could probably Google it and find it somewhere because it's not really relevant because I'm sure the phones have changed things by now. But, in 30 years, I imagine something had to have changed.
Yeah. Now, William Powell became an Anglican in 1974, 1975, and renounced the book and decided he didn't want it sold anymore. But he didn't actually own the copyright, it turns out. When he had sold the book to the publisher had fucked him over and put his copyright on the book. Lyle Stewart was the name of that guy. And he kept printing it and thought it was, it was a great moneymaker for him,
Nice.
And part of the idea of the sale of the book was that you could sell it and then it would be in public libraries. And then people could check out the book or actually sit in the library and copy things down. And the government wouldn't be able to track who was buying and selling the book. So the idea was that you could get the information out there and couldn't be tracked with the government. Now, in the 90s, when the internet came around, it just exploded and took off everywhere.
Right.
I was just reading an article about somebody that said you can't find it anymore. Well, he's full of shit, dude. I accidentally downloaded it on my phone while I was doing research for this. So
yeah, that sounds right.
It's out there.
I seem to remember about, I don't know the date. I would say 6-7 years ago, it was definitely available at Barnes and Noble in the store.
Mm-hmm.
You could just walk over and get it off the shelf. So, and you go in, you pay cash, you're cool. I know none of you guys even know what cash is anymore. But if you had cash, it's this green paper money we used to use, and you can give them to them at Barnes & Noble, and they don't take your information when you do it. Well,
it's really weird.
Of course, when you hand them your Barnes & Noble discount card, it kind of defeats the purpose. But, maybe don't get the frequent flyer miles while you use your while you're buying the Anarchist Cookbook. Or maybe the government doesn't even give a shit.
Yeah, I will say that it's the legality of owning the Anarchist Cookbook is questionable. You can sell it. You can own it. But if you get caught, if you're traveling into or out of the United States and they search your bags,
Okay.
and they find it in there, they will take it away from you.
And
And
if you go ahead.
It's happened several times, and every court has upheld the seizure of the book.
Now, also, I would say if you go and blow up a building or do a mass shooting, and then they come and find it in your house, they're going to expose you on the news and we found a copy of the Anarchist Cookbook at his house.
Right, guilty.
So there will be extra egg on your face.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that.
Yeah, the Columbine shooters had it. Timothy McVeigh had it. You know, everybody who's anybody in the terrorist world had that book at their house. I mean, it's a
now
who's
Kevin
who
only knows this, right? Because the government's going to expose you.
Right, exactly. And you can buy this on Amazon right now. It comes with a fedora for all the neckbeards out there in their mom's basement trying to build explosives.
That's fucked up, Kevin. That was mean and hurtful. You know, fedora wearers everywhere are cringing right now when you say that.
I know it. Now, so who are some of the better, more known anarchists out there? There's a couple of them right now. Machine Gun Kelly, the rapper. I have no idea who that is, but apparently he's famous.
And he likes the Anarchist Cookbook?
Right. Leo Tolstoy was a self-described nonviolent spiritual anarchist. I don't even know what that means. Obviously, there's Noam Chomsky, Bjork, your favorite Icelandic singer.
Yeah, but if you're Icelandic, you have to be a little off right from the get-go, I imagine.
Right. Alan Moore was an anarchist. He wrote The Watchmen. He wrote the comic books, The Watchmen, and V for Vendetta. So that's interesting. And
I did enjoy V for Vendetta.
Who didn't? That was a great movie. But so I mean, it's definitely worth a read, worth having in your house. But if you don't have like a lab with all the proper lab equipment, I would not try and make any explosives or LSD at home.
Good advice is really don't make explosives at all if you like keeping your fingers. That's my advice to you. But
right.
You know, I was taking a college class, industrial safety, I think. And for some reason, the college professor's like, you know, if you're making a bomb, you should just, the people who bombed the federal building, Timothy McVeigh or whatever in Oklahoma City, you know, he made it a lot more powerful by opening oxygen canisters and letting it fill up in the room. And that extra oxygen gave it a little extra kaboom.
Give it a little boost.
And I'm like, you know, I don't think in community college you're supposed to be dropping this kind of knowledge on our young skulls full of mush, right? But, you know, hey, to each his own, right?
Yeah, the terrifying thing about that sort of stuff is that it really is easy to make biological weapons, chemical weapons, explosives. It's really easy to do that at home.
I'm going to let out a secret right now about explosives. Gasoline blows up.
Ooh.
That's a little tidbit. That's as far as I'm willing to go for you. Now you're like, well, it doesn't really. And you're like, well, what about gas vapor?
There you go.
All right. Moving right along. I don't want to give out. I've already said too much.
You've said too much. Now, if you don't think Chuck has said too much, you can look up Granddad's Wonderful Book of Chemistry, written by Kurt Saxon.
Kurt knows a little bit about chemistry.
Yeah, it is a crash course in basic chemistry and how to apply basic chemistry to be persuasive in the public field.
Now,
how about that?
Maybe you're like, wait, I don't want to be on some watch list and go to this whatever Granddad's Book of Chemistry. Instead, I'm going to join the U.S. military, and they're going to write all kinds of training manuals on how to make explosives that you can download for free or buy at any gun show with cash. the U.S. military's printing this stuff. I don't understand why it's so controversial.
Right. It really is not hard to find. I would expect that if you were going to make explosives, you want to practice first, and that's where you lose the fingers. So, I mean,
2-part salutes. Maybe that's how the FBI finds all the bomb makers. Maybe they're like, who out there has 9 fingers or less?
Right. There you go.
Because that's usually how it ends up. I like my fingers. It's hard to pull the trigger when you don't have a finger there.
Yeah, and if you do the math, worldwide, the average number of fingers is less than 10.
Really?
That's
so there's
right.
a lot of bombers out there. That's the only thing I can conclude from that.
Yeah. Now, Kurt Saxon wrote a whole bunch of other books. The Poor Man's James Bond. That was an interesting book. Are you familiar with that one?
I am familiar with that one.
Now, that's a lot more off-grid survivalism type stuff involved in those books, but they're definitely interesting and fascinating, road to go down, checking those out.
All right. Now, have you ever heard of Ragner's Action Encyclopedia?
Ooh, that is a masterpiece that everybody should own.
Now, that actually came out in 2 volumes. Ragner's Action Encyclopedia of Practical Knowledge and Proven Techniques was volume 1. And then I'd have to walk back over to the bookshelf to tell you what number 2 is. Now, Ragnar Benson is a made-up name. This guy doesn't want to be known. And you'll find most shady books in the anarchy field come from Paladin Press. And I think they have some kind of deal, and that's in Boulder, Colorado. I think they have some kind of deal with, their authors where they protect their identity. Now that one has, because it's such a encyclopedia of knowledge, they cover silencers, assault shotguns, bulletproof vests, night vision, all kinds of weapons, lie detectors, drunk driving charges, caching, lock picking, taps and bugs, hostage negotiation, man trapping, the future infantry weapons. Although when you say future weapons, but the book was written in 1995, I feel like it may have already happened. I think the second one actually tells you how to take down helicopters. So there's a lot of options out there for you. Another one of my favorites is Absolute Anarchy by Johnny Jacks. Now, this one I haven't actually read through because, I've perused it and read different chapters on different topics when I'm doing show ideas. But people swear by it that it's the greatest book. I didn't really feel that it was gold, and it was about $40. I think it's like 1995 list, but they only made 10 copies. And I bought one of them, so it was $40.
Right.
Now it's probably $41 because I bought one of them, And so there's lots of stuff out there if you're interested in knowledge. But why do people seek out this knowledge? Why should it be out there, or why shouldn't it be out there? What's your take on that?
Well, I long have been a supporter of anarchy, libertarianism, and all that sort of nonsense. I think that everybody should know how to do everything, and I think that we should all be, reading up on this and setting up bombs and having shootouts on our way to work. I fully support anarchy. I'm all about it, man. There's nothing fun about this country if it isn't anarchist.
I gotta say, I'm all about knowledge and just knowing things. But how many times in history has the world turned bad for people?
Oh, yeah, quite a few.
It turns out that you can't always trust your government. And a lot of people who in history thought they could trust their government, or what happens in Red Dawn happens, and you wake up and look out your window and there's a bunch of Cuban guys parachuting out in the lawn of your high school, Right. Having a little practical knowledge, being self-reliant, understanding how the world works, you shouldn't just be a straight, cog in the wheel. a sheeple, if you will. You should actually try and better yourself. That's generally the way to go on life, but it's up to you. You make your own decisions.
Yeah, I think that being competent and capable of handling yourself in different situations is pretty damn important. And whether it's getting into a fist fight over some toilet paper, you want to be the one that wins the fist fight, right?
Yes.
That toilet paper belongs to you. You were there
Yeah.
first. You deserve it. Same with that parking space. If some asshole with a BMW tries to steal your spot, you got to fight it out, man.
Now, just because somebody gets the last roll of toilet paper, does that mean you go put a car bomb in their car? No, that's not what we're saying.
I was going to say yes. All right.
Oh, see, it was good. I was here for you.
Yep.
Somebody's got to keep it on track.
That's right.
You got to be careful, So, no, man, you got to realize, one, there's a lot of innocent people out there. And that's why bombs are so repulsive to people, is because innocent people end up. It's hard to control and focus who you're going to hurt, even if you're like, oh, well, that's the bad guy and that's his car, I'm just going to blow it up. And then he goes and picks up his daughter from school. And then you're the tool.
And you're the asshole that blew the little kid up.
Bombs are such a non-precise, method of violence that, you can do a lot of damage, but it's just too reckless and too irresponsible. But there's a lot to be said to understanding how the world works and to know the tools and what people have done. One, to prepare for what's going on around you, but also you never know what situation you're going to be in. Nobody was like, oh, MacGyver's a bad guy because he knows what chemicals and stuff are going to blow things up. I know they just rehashed this MacGyver show. I don't know how watered down or, censored it is compared to the original one. And the original one, they didn't really show you bad things, but he was definitely the guy who had no problem blowing up things and doing whatever because he was a man of practical knowledge, if you will.
There you go.
That's what the Anarchist Cookbook really is more practical knowledge. There are more tools in your arsenal, things you can understand the world and just learn to, be able to deal with whatever life may throw at you. What do you got?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good wrap up. Now, how are things going in quarantine land?
In quarantine land. So,
yeah.
Now my state just is actually going into quarantine today. So, but since this podcast, you're going to be hearing it a week or week and a half after I say that, it'll still be kind of tough to figure out which state I'm in. But some of you have guessed it, and some of you I told, like one, maybe two, maybe three,
maybe two.
If I say it's one, then you all think, oh, well, it's me. Then There you go. So that's how that works.
Now I'm in New York, and the federal government's working on shutting down New York City to keep it out of the rest of the state, which I fully support. I think that should be the case.
You supported that 10 years ago, right?
Exactly. Andrew Cuomo is kind of a corrupt dickhead that runs New York State.
Yeah, that sounds right.
He said there's no way in hell that they're going to quarantine New York City. Okay. So everybody's talking about him, how he should be the next president, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is he's a piece of trash and, don't support anything that he does because he's garbage and he's bought and paid for.
Now, I got to say, this seems pretty freaking contagious. I am seeing it spreading rather rapidly, and once it shows up in any kind of volume in an area, it seems to spread rather quickly. Once you get 50 people, it seems to really every week, those numbers grow exponentially. And talking to people in countries who are a little bit ahead of us or in states that are ahead of the state that I'm in, it doesn't sound like anything you really want any part of, this coronavirus. It's pretty freaking horrible. So I would say maybe take caution. I'm not saying don't go anywhere. I'm not saying don't go buy food or whatever if you're allowed where you live and it's not that bad. But I do get in my car and put hand sanitizer on my hands. I do give a little space between me and people. I do actually, where I am, it's starting to get more, more contagious, that kind of stuff, more frequent, if you will. And so, I'll come home and most of the stuff that I'm not using right away, I'll just leave it sitting in the car or leave it on the porch until I need to go get it, the next day or whatever. There's no reason I need to be bringing this badness into my house and into my life and into my family. I mean, the bottom line, I'm reasonably young and reasonably healthy, that it's not going to probably take me out. But the idea is I need to keep going to work and getting a paycheck. If I have to take 14 days off or something, especially because they don't want me to go bring it to everybody else, that's kind of a problem. I like getting my paychecks. They kind of make a difference in my life. So with that in mind, I would kind of be a little careful is all I can advise you.
See, that's strange because I've been coughing on doorknobs and licking
Everywhere
toilet
you
seats.
go?
I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to be doing that.
No, see, that's the thing. I think I actually heard you say if I'm going down, I'm bringing this motherfucking world with me. But, hey.
Hey, listen, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I did see somebody that was licking a toilet seat did in fact get the coronavirus. That's the COVID-19
Really?
challenge.
That is a no-go?
Right.
Yeah.
Stay away from licking toilet seats. I would recommend that just as general practice.
Okay.
But
all right. Now, I don't know if you guys saw in the Prepping Badass group, but Darren Taylor from Mayhem Country Living.
Yeah. Murray's Mayhem Country Living.
All right. He made some kind of recommendation that you guys may want to, that we should be creating a patch. Does that sound right?
Yeah, we're working on a patch right now, actually. I was just talking to somebody that works at one of the local custom patch making companies.
All right.
So we're in the works.
We're in the works. There is going to be toilet paper involved in this patch.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how long from start to finish to getting these patches in my hand from getting the
virus
started.
May be over by then, especially. And the cool thing is the patches will come direct from China. So there will be a little virus in every one.
Right. Made with love and coronavirus.
So there's a little something for everybody in there. So we're working on that.
And I'm working on getting them American made, but we'll see what companies are still open and what companies aren't.
Okay. I didn't realize that was an option.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Maybe we're going to get the American made. So you can get American coronavirus as opposed to the Chinese coronavirus.
Right. It's going to be coronavirus flu versus the Kung flu. Whichever one.
Correct.
Both infective, infectious, and...
I did talk to Mayhem Country Living there, and he also suggested that he would like to work together with us to get one of those Prepping Badass knives out to the public.
Oh, really?
And
what ideas did he have?
I was thinking, he was saying a giveaway for one.
Okay.
And I was thinking it might be a Bowie knife. So pretty impressive. So I think you guys might want to check out the Prepping Badass Facebook group and see if you can't figure out how to enter to win that knife. That's what I can report.
I think it is going to be a Facebook promotion of some sort.
Yeah. All right. Mm-hmm. So we're still working out the details, but by the time you hear this episode, I should have some kind of exciting news in the Facebook group already ready to go. So
now, how do we get to that Facebook group, Chuck?
Hell if I know, man. Just go to Facebook, search groups, and Prepping Badass.
Prepping Badass.
All right. Now, if you have any ideas on how whatever, or if you need more details on this knife giveaway, email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com. And maybe you guys want to leave a review wherever you downloaded this podcast. and tell us about how you want to win that knife or how awesome we are or something. I don't know. That may be related. Maybe you need to subscribe to Mayhem Country Living on YouTube. I don't know. I just know something big is coming down, and you will be able to find all these details in the Facebook group. So with that, stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
The Survival and Basic Badass Podcast is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.